Yeah. Turn that off. Yeah, without it. I can't get. Says the connection is weak, so nobody might not be bothering anybody with this. Says the open widget. Error. Poor. What can I do? I'm running OBS. I don't know what else to do. Come on, Starlink. No, I don't care. Oh, you get a lot of buffering if you're live, or if you're a viewer. Yeah. Okay. It's I guess it's go time. Let me try and shut off. Okay. I got that off. Now, put this away. All right. Got the old headphones hung up. Let me make a deposit there into the old pick bin or pick tin. I've got a little tin here. I try to keep my Mando picks separated from them guitar picks because they're just a little bit different. Well, they're different. All right, boys and girls. All right. Well, I don't know how it's looking. If I got it lit up, something don't look right. Look, I'm sitting too low. Let me see if I can mess around with this thing. Uh-oh. If anybody pops in and sees goofy stuff going on, just say, hey, man, goofy stuff going on there. And I'll be like, all right. How's that look? I can't ever keep the darn frame. Yep. See, I got my stuff in them. I've showed y'all that old janky old what you call them damn things, teleprompter, because I make a couple other videos every week, and anyway, thing it looked like it come out of a junk pile. Well, yeah, scrap wood, an old piece of what do you call them things? You put picture frame. It ain't got no 70-30 glass, boys. Just got. Oh, let me turn them headphones off because I might get a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, turn the headphones off. Man, been one of them busy days. Let's see. I got some notes somewhere. I sure do. Try and follow a dialogue, right? It's helpful when you try and follow a dialogue. I always goof my fonts up and everything else, messing around with all this stuff. I wonder my fly fishing as bad as well, I know it's not as good as it used to be, but I wonder if it's as bad as me trying to figure out all this electronic stuff and be entertaining and all that good stuff. I don't know. I'm just banging around. Anyway, greetings, everybody. Greetings. Rabun County RAG. Rabun County RAG. It's old ham radio expression back in the day when the only form of communication was radio waves. Wasn't nothing being piped through a line, or well, now I'm on radio waves right now, just a different class of radio waves. Isn't technology wonderful? But it used to be they called them old ham radio operators, or radio operators when they were on boats, and you know the guys would get out of the Navy and piddle around and put together radios because they understood radio principles. And anyway, they got to talking in pretty good distances, and there were intermittent distances depending on the band that you're operating on, and you can decide that you want to talk to somebody on the other side of the earth if the conditions are right, or you might just talk to a neighbor over in Oklahoma City if the conditions were right for that. Anyway, that's the way they used to do it. So but the rag part, and I don't know what the whole thing was, but rag is where they would chew the rag. So that's just another way of just getting together and run our mouths. You know, we couldn't be buddies face to face, but we could be buddies on the radio, and maybe once or twice in our lifetime we had the opportunity to meet each other. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. We just have different technologies, right? I can shoot a video across the internet, and if somebody decides that, hey, I like that guy, he might have something I'm interested in, and I do it too. There's a bunch of people that I watch. A&E, I'm not sure what that is. Guys up in Canada, Boltar is another name for him, and then Hand Tool Rescue. I liked watching those, but anyway. Greetings, everybody. I'm getting carried away. I'm glad everybody's here. And I don't see anybody here, but if you ever flip by and you see some silly old dude sitting here talking, playing around, making a mess of things, listen to me for just a minute. You never know. I might say something that interests you, and you can shoot me a comment and say, hey, man, you're being goofy, but that's okay. We like goofy, or I've had people say ugly things, and I ain't into that. But anyway, greetings, greetings, greetings. What am I trying to portray here? Well, my idea is to form a community of people who may live in the same state, region, but we form together because of common likes. We're a community of like-minded people, and I'm reading from it here until I get it down pat, with common interest in hunting, fishing, and protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We exchange ideas, resources, and information. So that's what I think that we should be about. And I don't want to be the only one on here yakking. I want this to be a community thing. And if somebody trustworthy comes along, then they can join in the party. And if they got a band and want to put out some music or just put out their own ideas, and we could, Skype in, what is the other one? Zoom in or something, and have set up a conference kind of thing if we want to have a joint discussion about things, and whether it's hunting, fishing, or a community effort, then we could get together and perhaps use a Zoom or use this YouTube platform. I'm not sure how all that works, but we can sure figure it out. We're a bunch of grown folks. We got the ability to get into the book and go on to the YouTube and figure out how to do it. That's how that's all being presented to you right now, be it good or bad. But that's the kind of community I'd like for us to talk about. Like fishing, fishing and hunting ideas and things like that. I've been at it for 10 minutes, and I think I got to hurry up and get through it all because I'm going to run out. And then at the end, I get relaxed, and I go, oh crap, I got to get all this done before I get. So I'm learning not only the video aspect and the audio aspect and cameras and lighting and all that, but I'm also learning how to communicate, because we all got our struggles, and if we struggle through, it's like the Kiwanis, or what was that? Toastmasters, where you learn how to speak. Well, this is an opportunity to join that kind of club and exercise your skills to communicate. Instead of looking down here at the keyboard or over here at this, make sure I'm looking at you guys in the camera and make you feel engaged. And if there's somebody who flips by and they have some constructive criticism to help me provide a better better sight and sound, a better production that I can do as an individual sitting in the dungeon, that what can I do? And I'm just looking for, or got too many tomato plants, which looks like I'm going to have an abundance of tomato plants. Some of them didn't even hatch out or spring out. The seedlings they're about that tall now. And some of them got 2 or 3 in a pot, and I'm not sure Uh, anyway, we are here in springtime, and that's the thing that comes on me in the springtime is getting out there and getting the garden started, doing some work in the landscape. I'd like this year to try and get some daggum sunflowers. I've been trying for a number of years. Every year it seems like I'll plant a darn few seeds, and sometimes they'll come up, and then the birds or something will get them, and another time they just never produce. I'm trying to move around and give them as much sunlight as possible. It might be a soil error. I got a little pH testing kit. I'm gonna study up on them darn sunflowers. If anybody flips through here and the word sunflower pops out at them, and you're an expert and you hear the word sunflower all the time, you know what I mean? If you're a sunflower expert, you're anything anybody says about a sunflower, you're going to pay attention to. I'd like to find one of you guys. Help me out in my endeavor to actually grow some nice sunflowers for bird feed and whatever. I don't know. Beauty, food. Yeah. Anyway, here's some. How about anybody got any good news? Good news such as something you're grateful for this past week, something that happened that makes you feel grateful. Well, I did. The family from in parts other than here, part of the family came and visited, made their mother very happy, and of course, as a result of mother's happiness, I found some real happiness, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Everybody got together and broke bread together, and acted like children again together or whatever. But and the grandkids, getting the cousins, getting to know cousins and things like that. That's a real nice thing. My wife says she saw a turkey in the yard the other day, yesterday evening. I was suspicious, but she said she did. So by God, she saw a turkey, and I've been saying out loud for quite a while, boy, I'd like to see some turkeys in there and try and provide good habitat, and voila, there they are. I hope it don't get like them darn those squirrels, man, where you got tree rats. I promoted them, give them what they needed, and helped them along. And anyway, the burn ban, burn ban was called off, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue our diligence when we go camping or when we're barbecuing or whatever. If you live in it's not like living in an urban area where there's a fire break everywhere, because that's all they got is fire breaks. They hardly have any timber to speak of adjoining in large lots. But they come up here, or we ourselves become careless, whatever, get in a hurry and don't completely extinguish a fire, and then we burn down our resources that we all enjoy and try to take care of. So it's I don't want to say irresponsible, but not to ensure that a fire is out thoroughly. Yeah, and I'm guilty. But now I try to make sure I've never had a big fire, but I'm around the house trying to burn trash or some stuff like that and some other stuff, but it was accidental and was taken care of, no property damage. Yeah, man, where's Smokey the Bear at? How long has it been since anybody's even talked about Smokey the Bear? Smokey, you out there, man? Smokey the Bear, if you flip past this laying around on the couch and stuff, why don't you hop up and say hello and have an opportunity to speak to this small community of people. I'd probably flip out Smokey popped up, but that's cool. That's the good news is the burn ban's over, and the safe practices is not bad news. It's part of the good news. Let's manage ourselves and watch out for ourselves. About 8 years ago, they had some fires up here close to where I'm at, and people would call me and go, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Well, that's over the hill, you know." But anyway, bears. Anybody seen any bears? I'm sure they're coming alive more and more, hungrier and hungrier, looking to get a hold of anybody, anything. Damn, you know what? I never did make a be right back scene. Shame on me, because you know what? I'm about to have to go take a leak. Is it okay to say that on the YouTube? I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to offend anybody. Even my grandson knows what a leak is. Yeah, well, you know what? I don't know. I don't care. All right. Yeah, I never did that, man. What happens when I just changed that. Walkabout is blank. Scenes is blank. Guest is blank. Nope. I can have a guest and they can come in. I know y'all are seeing this, me just playing with some, but a guest could, I don't know how we do it, could be here and I can talk here, and I don't know. Think about it over Raven County Rag. But anyway, I'm just so afraid that the minute I walk away, the minute somebody will walk by, they won't see me. That won't be a bad idea. What the heck? If they come, that maybe they can, not be one of them guys who walk into the scene. But I gotta go. Y'all excuse me. All right, I didn't miss nothing, did I? I didn't miss it, did I? I didn't drink water. Oh man. Oh, let's see. I got a why, but hunting. But first, you. I got to keep an eye on the mic. I know it sounds far away, and I'm trying to provide a good thing here so we can have a decent conversation. How am I coming in over there? Audio? Whoa. Where do I need my gain at? Yeah, let's turn it. How about now? How's the gain on that doing? Uh-oh. Let me put my headphones on for a minute, y'all. Put my glasses on first. I'm still learning this stuff, so I don't know. All right. How am I saying? How about over here? Yeah, that's a little weird. How about when I'm right here? Okay. All right, I see him. Let me I just want to make sure I'm not blasting you. And so that this is about where I need to be. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. There's latency. And I know I've talked about it before between the computer and the microphone. So I'll speak in 100 or 200 milliseconds later. I'll hear myself. And I think I can fix that in Adobe. But I'm not sure. Anyway, had old, what do you call it? Beef shank? I've seen them. And I was at the grocery store, and I never made one. I was at the grocery store the other few days back or whatever. Probably been a long time. And I got beef, but I was just walking by and I looked down and saw it, and it was cheap. Probably as cheap as what I got. And so I picked it up and I said, man, I ain't ever tried one of these. And so I did a little research, a little recipe searching and all this stuff. And I've been watching Route 9. It's Spanish, Nueve, something, la una. Anyway, Route 9 in Spanish is the name of the channel. And it looks to be just three old boys down in around, I think they're around Michoacan. In Michoacan. I don't know where they're at in Michoacan. It's a pretty big state, but it looks like they live in a rural agricultural area. And they're a hoot, man. They do what they do, El Campo. It's like they're always cooking over a fire. And today they built a table. I was saying, how do they build those tables? And they build a table and then cover it in 2 or 4 inches of dirt. I didn't know whether it was dirt or cement, but today it looked like just dirt, Mexican, from that area. And so they built that today. And what they do is they got these tables, and then they use just rough cut pieces of wood disc, as cutting boards. And then they have some wooden bowls and things that you could get them anywhere. They just use them. And another thing they have that I'm really interested in, I keep asking for a harrow disc. And I don't care if it's got the teeth shape in it or not, the flower shape, or just plain round. Because what they do is they take and cut a piece of steel of the same thickness as that disc and weld it and then grind it smooth. And put rebar handles on each side of it. And to me, it looks like a shallow wok. But their recipes are real simple, and I like their cooking, and it's very flavorful. And I guess, we use salt and pepper to enhance flavors, but sometimes you have to use spices to adjust flavors. But anyway, and so I had that shank, and I was looking at recipes for braised shank, and I don't know whether it was tough or whatever, but I know there's a big old bone in it, about that big around, and marrow rich, of course, and so today I took a pan big enough that shank would fit in. It was only about that. It wasn't very thick. Not very thick at all. Most ones I say are real thick, but that, And so I brought the pan to heat. And the spices I used were spices that people use to accentuate tequila shots. I used to like to drink mezcal from Oxela, Mexico. And what was that called? But it came with a little pack of seasoning. And then you mix that with salt. And had the worm in it. Somebody will know what it is. But I got to where I wasn't using that old, I would just use plain old table salt and take it instead of messing around with all that stuff. So my wife saved all those spice packets. And somebody mentioned them at the house the other day, and I got to thinking about it. So today I took a half an onion and diced it, threw it in a pan with some leftover tallow where I made some beef something or another, I don't know. And sauteed onions, put in some garlic, and softened all that, and a whole jalapeno, and softened all that up. And then I flipped the shank because I'd been searing it on one side; it was browned, and flipped that. And then I had 2 tomatoes that were fixing to be overripe, so I chopped them up and threw them in that pan and let that sauce come to heat as while the shank was browning on the opposite side. And I took a third packet. I put a packet of that seasoning on one side of that shank, and on the other side of the shank, another one on the other side. In the third packet, I put in with the tomato, onion, and garlic. I salted it first to make sure it was right. Then put those flavors in that final pack in there. And when the shank was done, browned on that side, the sauce was bubbling. So I dropped the steak into the shank into the sauce and kind of moved it around and got it a lot of sauce on it. And then I just took and put a lid on it and put it in a 225 degree oven for, I think, 4 or 5 hours. 4 hours. And before I came down here at 5 o'clock, I ran upstairs. I was doing some other editing, and ran upstairs and tasted it. And it was like, wow, this is good. I just ate a small piece, and I checked the sauce and make sure it wasn't that it had right seasoning in it. And I put the lid on it, left it on the stove, and cut the oven off, and came back down here and started whatever little prep I can do to get ready for talking to you guys. So that's what I did this afternoon. And I had a slice of that leftover meatloaf. It's like chili and spaghetti. I love to have a batch of chili, but it's hard to make a small batch. And when you make it, God almighty, you're eating it all week. And after a week, you don't want no more for a long time. But anyway, but the wife talked about the turkey. We talked about the turkey my wife said she saw. And here we are right in the middle of turkey season. No, turkey season over yet? Got to check the regs. Don't matter. I wouldn't take them this year anyway. I'd like to get them established, if you know what I mean. I'd like to get them established. And if we could just get them established, we can provide them or help maintain whatever they need to have a healthy lifestyle. I need to look into what they eat. What do they eat? They eat mushrooms and acorns and grubs, and I mean, I'm sure they're scratchers just like chickens. They'll eat anything that moves and chase down a rat. Eat that. I don't know about that, but you see a chicken eating mice all the time. Anyway, just another random thought about hunting, and I'm proud to have them. I've got them old deer back and forth up through here. If they're on the side of the road, I come through up the road to the drive and going to the house, and they used to see that truck, my truck, and boom, they's gone. And then they got where they just kind of trot off into the woods and stand in the trees and watch me go by. And then it got where they would just stand on the edge of the bar ditch as I went by. And then I started slowing down. Just slowing down. Hey, what y'all doing? Roll down the window and speak. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, is what y'all gonna think. Anyway, now they hardly even get out the damn road. I ain't touched one of them yet. I'm afraid of the trouble it'll bring. Saw something. I was sitting on. What was I doing? I was in the chair, and family was here, and something about a possum popped up and said they can take a bunch of snake bites. And called the grandson over and asked him if they ever seen a possum, and I showed him that thing. I said, "That thing don't look mean, does it?" And he goes, he's 4. And I said, and he can be bitten by a poisonous snake 100 times and still keep on going. And they eat snakes like they're snacks. That cute little, it wasn't no ratty one you see out there in the woods, got bugs on him and been through hell and coat's looking a little rough. It's one that somebody has doctored up either in Photoshop or somebody has taken on a pet and thought they was going to have the cutest pet on the face of the earth. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was one all dressed up like that. I said, and they good eating too. Let's see. It says the stream is healthy, so we've covered the hunting, fishing. I guess it's turning on. I went early, and then I just goofed off more than anything. I love where the fish live. Anyway, I got a bunch of worms. I might. I did get my editing done today. I could go for a walk in the morning and take a pole instead of the walking stick and forego all that stretching business and just walk onto the water. Huh. Who knows? There's an upper stretch of the river up there before it gets into the lake. Ooh. I need to go fish at. Anyway, sorry, boys and girls. So, yeah, I don't know how true it is if you flip through here and you're watching this later on. And what about some interesting baits? That's always a good one. Interesting baits. With the kids one time, it's been a number of years ago, and there's this one little park that's got a bridge that goes over a protected hatchery area that only kids under 12 and over 65 can fish in. And then once you get past that bridge, then it turns into anybody can fish. Well, there's a dang free-for-all right there at that bridge. Everybody in there chunking everything, and big old bass just swimming right by. I ain't interested in none of that stuff. And I was just watching the kids. I wasn't even fishing this day, but this old boy had a fly rod. It's just a fishing pole, and on the end of that, he had, I want to say it was a 12 or 14 hook on the leader. And it might have been a fly that was all chewed up. It might have had some feathers left on it, but you could tell that it'd been fished a while. And he had with him a bee's nest, a wasp nest. And he would peel one of those wasp larvae out and put it on that hook and daub. That's what Isaac Walton called. I think it was Isaac Walton. And he would take that thing and lower it to the water and just dab it on the surface, and you could see the oils spreading out over the water surface from that bug. I guess that's what it was. Hell, it might have been poison where they killed the wasp. But you could see a film of some sort. Man, them fish was coming for that darn thing. You know, little small ones was all he's catching. And but he was catching. So that was interesting. Wasp larvae. What's that other one? Catalba. Catalba worms. Now, my brother-in-law's mother and father had a Catawba yard in their front yard, and they told me that thing would lose its leaves twice a year. Ain't that crazy? That's how many Catawba worms they had, and they live on not the Tennessee River. Cumberland River. They live up on the Cumberland River. Boy, they got a lot of rain this year. Got that old river backed up. Said they was going to put in one of them marinas down there. That might have been telling the truth. Might have been. They drawing in everything. I'm going, oh. Anyway, I seen some old boys. I don't know where I seen them at, but I think it was another fishing channel or something, where somebody was up here fishing. And boy, they had some nice crappie. I'm talking about nice darn crappie. They had a place, a secret place. Man, I caught if I were to catch a crappie that size, he wouldn't be the only crappie in me, cause I'm sure that I would just be overjoyed to the extent that there would be some crappie happy going on around there. Anyway, Elon's come through for me. It looks like I have an excellent connection now, and then it'll say error, and then it'll say excellent connection, and then it'll say error. I bet if I put that darn antenna, that satellite disc on the roof and pointed it, it'd clear some of them trees and I'd have fewer dropouts. It's not as bad as it once is because of the number of satellites that have been launched, but I forgot, summer's coming on, so the leaves on the trees are going to fill out, and that's going to reduce coverage, and I'll probably be back to a lot of interference or whatever they call it. I'm just fat, and it's a big old tall house. I don't want to get up there. Them old young cat come around here and want $400 or $500. Jeez, I'm about ready to get up there myself any darn way. You know what? What am I going to do? Suffer. But now they sell these little bitty Starlink dishes, and I'm thinking that only place that would work would be out west on the ocean in the marshes. But I don't see how it'd work in my terrain. You'd have to be on top of a mountain to even begin, and then you've got the tree canopy to contend with. I mean, you could send the message and wait for a satellite to gather it up, but it might take several passes before they got all the information, and then it'd be downloaded and, buffering. I don't know. I'm just sitting here enjoying myself. We have covered fishing. What's the old wives' tale about them things? The old fishermen's about the dogwood blooms. Now, that's what I've always been told. When the dogwood is in bloom, that's the time to go catch crappie. I don't know, it's just a coincidence that enough light is hitting the water at the same time that those blooms are coming out because they've gained enough light. That might be some relation that somebody could look into or want to discuss. That might be a correlation that was made years ago when natives, people who didn't have the knowledge that we have now, they learned that through trial and error, going hungry, and learn pass lessons down word of mouth. Um, Something to think about. We was talking about it the other night. What was that? In like a lion, out like a lamb. March in like a lamb and out like a lion, or something like that. And then I said the Ides of March, and we started looking that up, and it was kind of wild. It's kind of weird to study that stuff. It's interesting stuff, and to even contemplate that stuff, just the way the calendars evolved, and man, before there was writing, we just probably only had language, and we still grunted and groaned and laid out at night while we were hunting or gathering or whatever, and looking up at the stars without the city lights. And no wonder they made up stories about the night sky. I could only imagine. Nobody knew really what it was, and they knew that they moved. It was magical to them. But that probably, that was before writing. Good Lord, that's weird stuff. I'm glad they did it, because we wouldn't be where we are today if they didn't. Anyway, where was that at? Fishing. That's when we was talking about fish. Old son-in-law caught a couple bass. My daughter-in-law showed them to me. He was up here, and he left early one evening because the daughter was going, and the daughter and her son was going to spend the night here with her sister and her two kids and their grandmama, and I was ducking and covering. But no, it was really nice. They cousins get together and get to know each other. That's a good thing. But where was I? Oh, he went fishing, caught a couple nice bass. He knew where they were, and I knew where they were. I don't know if he kept them or not. I wouldn't, whatever he wants to do. Last week I showed y'all my. No, you know what happened last week? It's the strangest dadgum thing. Here it is, my inexperience showing. That or my lack of ability. I don't know, and I don't care. But last week, y'all might not have caught the live stream last week because my dummy went to my other channel and forgot to go to this channel and set up. It had Rabun County Rag in it, just like you see right here, right? It had that in it, but it live streamed to my other channel. And I tried to figure it out for a little while, and I said, you know what difference does it make? And so, if y'all didn't see me last week, I had my fishing gear in here, 2 spin cast rod and reels, ultralights, 4-pound test. I have one set up for dry fly fishing or nymph fishing. And the other one set up for live bait. And I showed you, the distance between the weight and the hook and the weight and the hook and the bobber, the strike indicator, little bitty thing. Might be bigger around than my thumb. I don't know. And what depth I fished them at, and why I thought the trigger spin was, in my opinion, superior to then trying to use a open face in that small of the configurations, fishing small streams. But anyway, and went through my satchel, and all I had was a small satchel. Went through what was in there and the kind of baits I carry and the stuff I carry for re-rigging in the streams or whatever. I had all that stuff and went through it and showed it in the camera and posted it on the other side. I thought, man, this is going to be a big one here. There's going to be Ain't gonna be 3 people scroll through there and just look for a minute. I know that's fixing. Nope. I don't think. I hadn't even looked at last. I hadn't even looked at what that thing done. I don't. It don't make no difference. So where were we? Fishing. Fishing? Yes, indeed. Fishing. Yeah, went. I need to go do some fishing. Well, I know where some nice old brim are. I ain't told nobody yet, but I have seen them big old saucers. Anyway, oh shoot, man, we only got 15 minutes. I've been running my mouth and not moving along with the news. Next thing, gardening, right? Right? All right. Y'all been gardening. I have. And I wished I had some pictures. You know it. 25th of March, I sat down there and I think I told y'all about, what has that been, about 2 weeks now? And set seeds. An old Jiffy greenhouse thing. Got the heating pads under them and got the lights on top of them and got them things going. And I said, y'all, the other day with the family, said, hey, y'all want to see my grow room? You know, looking at each other, looking at me, looking at each other. And I said, come on. And I took them down there and showed them all them little old seedlings that coming up. I got some tomato plants about, I would say, what is that, 3 inches? I have to ask my wife. No, I got one right here. I think I got old tape. Yeah, I was saying, what did I say? That was 3 inches? Right on my money. Within a 1/4 inch or so. Anyway. So there's 3 inches and there's 3 in a pot, and I made a list and what was planted in which row and what pot, you know, and I only put 3 tomato seeds in there, and a lot of them have 3 tomato plants coming out of them, so I had a high germination rate. However, there was one bunch of the germination rate was like 50%. I haven't looked. I went in there and watered them, but I didn't do a count. So, and I got a whole 72 little pods of tomatoes. Ain't no way I'm going to be able to plant and maintain that many tomatoes. So I'm going to be trying to give those away. If anybody likes some tomato plants, come by and look at them. You might be able to just take them on home with you. Or you might have something I might need, and you know, we could work it out. If not, you just want some tomatoes and can't afford the prices you got to pay at the darn greenhouse, or I don't know, greenhouse. I hadn't found one. I guess I could go shopping at the greenhouse, because that's considerable cost and time to get them little tomato plants going. And I got beans and corn and flowers and all kinds of other stuff coming up too. It's a menagerie of stuff that we thought we wanted. I'm going to do I'm not going to till this year. How much time we got? 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I'm not going to till this year. I'm going to do no-till planting. And in that no-till planting, I'm going to try the thing that the Native Americans did. They call it the 3 sisters. And the 3 sisters was corn, pumpkin or squash, and beans in the same hill. Because apparently I know that beans put nitrogen into the soil, and the other 2 plants they aid each other in their chemistry. It's an old, I understand it to be an Indian form of it, where they didn't do any plowing or anything like that. They just maintained a garden spot, kept it heavily thatched or mulched to keep the weeds down, and they would just maintain it like that. And the richness of the soil would improve over time. And they knew how to speed it up just like we do. But that's interesting. And so I planted enough of those to do that kind of thing, just to play with it, you know. And I've got the zucchini squash and the yellow squash. And did I plant cilantro? I normally do that, and basil, tomato. Man, I need to get on my onion game. I have done a few potatoes, but I didn't tend them well, and they didn't end up being all that healthy. And I planted them the wrong time of the year, all kinds of things. I was just had some rotting old potatoes, and darn, they had sprouts on them. I said, I'm gonna go see, and I did. I put them in the dirt, and they grew. I don't know what, but they grew. Uh, and when I trimmed on the hedges the other day, this is all about gardening. Hey, if somebody pops in here, y'all hit me up. Or if you watch this later, tune in and bring it up, because I love to talk about it, the gardening. So got that going. And I got some pumpkins too. And I got a spot. I told you about that tree I'm trying to take care of. I went out there and drilled and dosed it again last week, and now we've had all this rain, so it's got some green on it. I can't tell whether it looks as healthy as other or not, but I'll keep slowly dosing that thing until that glyphosate takes hold of it. And I'm using it, not diluting it. I'm just using it out of the bottle, and I use a little pipette, and I drill a 3/16 hole at an angle like that, and fill that up to use the pipette to fill that up till it gets into the cambrium layer, so it starts transporting that poison down to the roots, where I think that's where it has its effect. And we'll see. And I hate doing that to a tree, but I hate cutting them down even more, especially this particular type. It's one of them tulip poplars. I don't know what they're good for. Now, I know they used to use a lot of poplar when they built furniture, and it's good for drawers and stuff like that. So it has its uses, but I don't have a use for it. And I have more use for the sunshine that would be on the ground if it weren't there. I'm very selective about it. I don't like doing it, but you got to balance in nature. I think my survival, even if you want to call it my pleasure, if I want to have a garden, I need sunlight. And I'll be as conservative as possible, but I have to have a minimum amount of sunlight. And that tree, I let it stand there a long time. I kept telling myself I need to go ahead and get rid of it. And I should have done it when it had been a little more manageable, but I didn't. So now I'm poisoning it. And the way my intent is to leave it standing, and that I know that I will lose limbs from time to time in ice or wind or a storm, and it's going to drop those limbs. But in the interim, it allows for perches for birds. It allows for insects to come in, and that would bring and feed a woodpecker, or probably a bear eventually when it hits the ground. So ashes to ashes, dust to dust, man. Anyway, I just want to grow some dadgum pumpkins and collard greens. I appreciate the flavor of both of them, so the deer. Anyway, there's the gardening right there, boys and girls. If y'all flip through this and see it and want to shout out or send a comment about your gardening, man, go ahead. Remember, I'm here every Thursday night, except for last Thursday, but I was here, but I wasn't here. Wait, yeah, I was here, but I wasn't here. Okay, anyway, I told you the story. You can go back and look at it if you miss it. Anyway, spring activities. I think we covered some of these already. Foxfire Native Plant Weekend. That's up in northeast Georgia, the very tip top corner of Georgia, up around Black Rock Black Rock Mountain State Park. A wonderful place to visit. You ain't ever been there, but Foxfire is not far from there, and it's an organization that formed, sure, God almighty, 40, 50 years ago, where people started preserving the way of life in rural Georgia at the turn of the century. And there's all kinds of things that you can learn there. It's a wonderful place. And if you're camping or staying at the cabins at Black Rock State Park and you're a visitor and you're looking for something interesting, you can go to Foxfire. And I think they have a museum and they always have all kinds of activities. But anyway, this weekend, they're having a Foxfire native plant weekend. And man, I'm thinking about that. I can get some exercise in and get to know the people that might have some connections to this part of or that part of the country, and learn a little bit about it, and maybe develop some relationships. I need to. That's Saturday. I need to get started in the garden. I also got the step project out back. Good Lord. I put my house didn't have a set of stairs going down to one side. You had to walk clean around the darn wraparound porch and then all the way around the back of the house, or go through the house, downstairs, and out the basement. And so I contracted Mountain Works. I contracted Mountain Works to provide the labor, and I would provide the material. And I laid out what I wanted, and I asked for somebody who knew how to build stairs. And so I laid out what I wanted and dug up the material and gave them a drawing and told them how I wanted it, and then to construct the stairs. But we had to first build a landing. And I had some old rubber railroad ties on one side of the house. It was used in an inefficient and wrong way to support a slope. And I had to pull them out, and I hadn't rebuilt that back yet, and I've got to take care of that, and that's something else I got to do. But I tore all that out because I had to be tore out anyway, and I instructed them guys to build that landing out of these old rubber 2x4s. Them things get figure in them or bend in them. They want to give it up. And I was down there I was cutting rebar in 18-inch and 12-inch section. No, 18-inch and 24-inch lengths and sharpening it. And they's using a drill and drilling through those things to tie that stuff together. And they got that built. And then they did the calculations on the stairs, so because they had their elevations in, even though I told them what the elevation. Anyway, they got the stairs in, and then just this past about a month ago, might have been a month ago, might have been less, might have been 3 weeks ago. I feel I got a bank on the opposite side of the house, and I dug that old Georgia Red out of there with that little old Kubota tractor and filled that thing in and backfilled. I wanted to put aggregate in it, but I got to think about that old clay. It'll tighten up, it'll hold. So I've got it in there now with just the red clay, and it's had 2 or 3 rains on it. And I'll go down there and walk on it, and I can tell it's packing down. And I think I'll top it off with small aggregate, just pebbles, either granite or river, and then eventually maybe lay some tile or flagstone or something like that on it. But anyway, that's off the steps. But I got another slope I got to come down and build some steps from the up there, the parking area, down to the landing, and then off the landing into the backyard. Anyway, that's what I got going on. Anyway, I don't know how I got there. Oh, also, this weekend. I think it's this weekend. Yeah. Basic fly fishing, April 12th, Rabun County Recreation Center. Brought to you by the Rabun County chapter of Trouts Unlimited. You can give old Charlie a call at Rabun County Trouts Unlimited. And a big thing going on in June in Clayton, yes sir, is 7 June. They got to call it the Ramshackle. I don't know, man. It sounds like it's something with people that I don't know that live in it. I don't know. I live in a ramshackle. Why should I volunteer for another? But anyway, if they had a little bluegrass, hell yeah, sign me up. I'll be down there for a bluegrass festival. But this ramshackle stuff where you walk up and down the streets and all these people trying to say, and they have every right to, and you might want to have that done to you. It just ain't my cup of tea. I imagine if I lived in the city and I had to have a mix of a little bit of outdoors and maybe something to remind me that I'm still this human being that lives in the city, then I would probably do that, I guess. Big time for me is go to darn flea market. Now that's a Saturday morning, get up early, go down to the flea market and watch people swap junk, and sometimes I can walk out of there with some junk or some jewels or something. But anyway, what time is it? Oh, I got to go. Man, I sure have enjoyed being with y'all this evening. If you flip through this thing, y'all share, call, come see me on Thursday evenings from 6 to 7. Rabun County Ragging. My name is Scott. And you can watch back through this. And I didn't get to the for sale, but I did talk about the mulch hay and the harrow disc. So if any of that comes up, y'all send me a message. Anyway, toodaloo. I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you watching. As always, have a